Hey Shakers, and welcome to Worth Your Salt, the podcast that shakes up your marketing game in the health and wellness industry. Worth Your Salt is brought to you every Thursday by Salt Marketing. Salt Marketing helps health and wellness practitioners build trust and authority to attract a steady stream of inbound wellness seekers. For more information, you can visit us online at saltmarketing.co. I'm your host, Jennifer Oraquah, StoryBrand Certified Guide and Marketing Strategist with Salt Marketing, and your host for today's episode of Worth Your Salt. Now, maintaining your energy and enthusiasm for marketing your business can be difficult as an entrepreneur. While there are dozens, if not hundreds, of online gurus ready to give you advice on how to grow, sometimes that just adds to the problem of overwhelm and shutdown. In a service-based industry like health and wellness, where you've got to maintain your energy for your clients, it's incredibly common that professionals lose momentum and see their growth slow. That's why today I'm so glad to be joined by Jessica Scully. Jessica is an avid fitness and nutrition coach. She's a former owner and current chief hype girl for Holy City CrossFit and the blogger behind the popular food blog Paleo Scaleo. Jessica has been down the lack of motivation road and back again, and she is here today to share her journey and hopefully get us all inspired and fired up in the process. Welcome to Worth Your Salt, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
So let's start with a little background on Paleo Scaleo. How did you get started?
Sure. So Paleo Scaleo is a health and wellness food blog, and it actually started back in 2015, I guess it was. We had a house fire. We were forced to move out of our house for 11 months while they were reconstructing everything, and a lot of good things came out of that. I just started cooking while we were in our rental and kind of playing around in the kitchen. And some of the recipes I was making, I said, I really want to write this down. I want to have this again so that I can make it again because everyone's really enjoying what I'm making. So I did a little research and I figured out how to start a blog. There is an old archived version of Paleo Scaleo that you can find it if you hunt, and I will not tell you how to get to it. The pictures are not pretty, but that was kind of where I got started and started just kind of documenting everything there for myself. I happened at the time to be working for a company that used WordPress. I worked for a real estate software company, built the website, which was never intended to be a business or monetized from the beginning. It was really just a hobby and a passion project, kind of to distract my brain from everything else that was going on. Mm-hmm. But I got to a point where I had these two websites side by side where I was, working on this real estate business, and I would rinse and repeat. And if I would apply something to the real estate website, I would go on my site and say, oh, I know how to build that now. And I would build it. So that was really how I ended up building the site in the first place.
So as you were getting inspired, as you were, cooking these things up and experimenting, as you started the website, you must have thought, I'm going to share this with others. Who did you hope to help?
Just people who were looking to eat healthier. We had started CrossFit and started kind of our fitness journey and realized that a lot of the times you feel a lot better in the gym if you've eaten well the day before. Mm-hmm. And, if you eat a pizza the night before you go to a workout the next morning, you're going to know that you ate a pizza and your workout's going to feel very different. And so it was really just, it started out for us. And then, I thought there's a whole community of people out here that want to eat healthy, and where are they getting their recipes? And can we just, share it within the community of those people?
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of challenges have you faced from starting from zero and growing to where you have tens of thousands of page views?
Well, I think I was gaining the most traction with myself when I was with that real estate company. And when I left that job, at one point I was doing 6 different jobs, which if you are spread that thin, they were all part-time. But when you're spread that thin, you can't really focus your brain on growth and that one thing. And so I think that was probably my biggest challenge when I just had my hands in too many pots and couldn't really focus on the one thing and trying to grow it. So I've learned that I have a habit of standing in my own way and kind of creating these roadblocks to progress with specifically just the blog. I don't know why that is. I'm working on that. But so I think that's been my biggest challenge, is just getting out of my own way.
Yeah. And today you offer more than recipes, though. You provide support for healthy journeys, including Whole30, paleo, gluten-free. You even have an online community for your followers to support one another. Tell me a little bit about those additional resources and how they came to be.
Well, it's more about my journey and what I've needed, right? I've gone through all those things, and I've experimented with just elimination and taking out the gluten and taking out the dairy and seeing how I feel. And I don't think that there's any one right answer for anybody. I just have learned what feels best for my body and what my body reacts best to, and just documenting that as I go. Right. And I've done a number of Whole30s, which, I've had great results with. And so how can I share these results with other people? How can I tell them what I've learned? There's so many resources out there and so much misinformation. that I feel like it's important to share correct information and actual results with what you do know works.
Yeah, I love that.
And, kind of provide that to people.
Yeah. So somewhere in the middle of all of this, you kind of lost your groove. Tell me a little bit about when that happened and what you experienced.
Well, part of that had to do with having too many jobs. And then we actually bought our CrossFit gym, Holy City CrossFit. And so that took a lot of my time. And I dove pretty heavily into that. And I was still doing some recipes and kind of integrating the two and sharing that with our members. But that was really a big time suck for me. Not really. I mean, time suck isn't the right word because it was my job. But you know what I mean? I was spending a lot more of my time on that than on the blog. And somewhere along there, the blog hit kind of a plateau. And it just wasn't growing. And so because I wasn't putting in the time, it wasn't growing and it was kind of steady. And then in March of 2022, it just fell off a cliff and just kind of tanked. There's like a very distinct line where it goes across and then it just kind of plummets down. And I dug around and tried to figure out what was going on and why it had happened and couldn't really come up with any results. And I kind of, at that point I said, do I keep doing this? Do I keep pushing or do I just let it go? Like maybe this is just not a thing anymore. So that was kind of my moment of struggle of what do I do next?
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jess, you and I need to take a quick sponsorship break right now. When we return, I want to dive into exactly how you got re-inspired. Stay with us.
The Worth Your Salt podcast is grateful to our partners and sponsors, including webwhiskey.com. Your website has a job to do. It's not just supposed to sit there and look pretty, but not all developers understand that. The Web Whiskey WordPress Builder walks you through the process of developing your branding, your messaging, and your website content so you can attract your ideal clients. Don't struggle with other website builders that won't be able to keep up with your growing business. Health and wellness professionals often find that the platforms that get you up and running quickly cannot support your position in the marketplace as you grow. Set yourself up for the next growth phase with webwhiskey.com, the one tool that coaches you through everything your site needs to inspire people to take action. And for listeners of the Worth Your Salt podcast, you can get started with a $1 trial today at webwhiskey.com and put your website to work for you. That's webwhiskey.com.
We're back here on the Worth Your Salt podcast with Jessica Scully, owner, blogger, and recipe creator extraordinaire at paleoscaleo.com. So before the break, I was asking you about the struggles you had in the middle of this journey. What made you decide to get back up on that horse again? I mean, you said, do I quit? Do I go? What made you decide to forge ahead?
Yeah, I'm stubborn in most things in my life. And so I had that moment of looking at it and I kind of started to push again and it's not really going anywhere. And do I keep going with this? And, I could just throw in the towel or start a new blog or, what are my different options here? And I couldn't. I'm just too stubborn. And I just said, you know what, I didn't come this far and push this hard and build this much from the point of it starting as a hobby to building it as a business to, it's an income generating business, a professional website, to just say, I quit. So I just said, you know what, I'm not going to give up that easily. I'm going to try a few different things and push in a few different places and see if I can get this to get its fire lit again and get it rolling.
Yeah. And we see your struggle a lot. In fact, this is where we meet most of our clients at Salt Marketing in the middle of a complex journey. So like in the beginning, marketing and growing your business seems complex. Like getting all those first followers is hard. Then you start to hit your stride and implement good advice. And suddenly it all seems so simple. But then slowly something starts nagging at you. There's more out there. There's more potential to help those that need you. So you can grow your practice and really take this thing as far as you can. And so that's where we met you. So tell us a little bit about how you were feeling at that point. You'd made this decision to move forward. How were you feeling?
Like I didn't know what to do next. I wanted to be motivated. I wanted to keep pushing. But like you said, I had in the beginning, the complex part, I didn't know what I was doing. I learned the website and you feel like you're making progress throughout all those steps because even if necessarily it's not growing, you're learning, right? So you're learning how to build the site. You're learning for me, I was learning how to build the site and learning how to put all these parts and pieces together and then got to this point where it kind of plateaued and I'm like, I want to do more. I want to go farther, but I don't know what to do next. Like, I don't know how to get to the next step.
And so we started out by getting some clarity around your brand story and really defining who your target market was. What did you discover about your site, your customer journey, your search engine optimization, all those good tactical things?
Well, there was a lot of tactical things that needed to be tweaked. I won't say they were wrong, but I will say that they weren't right. I think that it's easy when you start out to set everything up and then just forget about it and not look at it again. And I think you have to look at it through the eyes of the customer, right? Who is your customer? Like you're talking about the brand story. Who are you there to serve? And what do they see when they come? And what's their journey like? And how can you optimize what you're providing to make it the best experience possible for them? Because when you're on the back end, you see the internal stuff all day long and you don't really think about how that's driven from an external viewpoint.
And so we hit that high level strategy. So what tactical implementation did you then take on to try and sort of right the ship?
Well, we started with an SEO audit just to make sure that on that back end, everything flowed well and Google wanted to see it in a certain way and that we were providing it in that way. And then going from, working with you guys from the beginning of the customer journey, walking through what they would experience on the site and optimizing all of that in terms of things that we were providing for them, email branding, sending out consistent emails, just really keeping that conversation going.
All right, Jess, it's time for another quick break. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to the Worth Your Salt podcast, and today we're talking with food blogger Jessica Scully about how you can get re-energized in your business. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so be sure to join us over on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and let us know how you're staying motivated to market your business. We're back now, and Jessica, in the last segment, we talked about some of the things you've done to kind of get your groove back, not just as a food blogger, but as a nutrition advisor. So what's ahead for you? What's next?
Well, I hope to continue to grow the site and grow my audience and continue to provide those things that I've been providing for people and just reach more people with that information. And later on down the road as we go, I hope to put together a cookbook. I do have some drafts and proposals in the works. So hopefully getting that published.
Very good. So for our listeners, and maybe we're in that stuck place that you experienced, what would you say? How do we get re-inspired and get that groove back?
I think you have to remember why you're doing it in the first place. A lot of people in this kind of health and wellness, nutrition, fitness space are all in it, or they get into it for personal reasons. So I think you have to kind of go back, figure out why you started, why you're here. Right? What was it that drove you to start this in the first place? And do you still feel that desire? It's usually a desire to help people, to help other people is what I see most commonly. And so really kind of thinking, who did I hope to help? And do I still want to help those people? And if the answer is yes, then, kind of asking yourself those hard questions and diving in to just get that motivation back and get back into helping people.
Yeah, I love that. So do you have any sage advice or caveats, not just for someone who's a blogger, but really for anyone in the health and wellness space that has sort of a bigger vision for their future?
I think one of my favorite quotes that I've ever read was, "It never gets easier, you just get better." And I think that's true for everything, right? Whether it be fitness or whatever it is that you're doing, your business, your health, life is hard. It's all hard, right? And you just have to find your groove. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. People say, I don't know how you make your own ketchup. I'm like, well, it was hard in the beginning, right? And it's still hard, but I've done it so many times. Now it's just on repeat for me. So it's just one of those things. You just get better at it. The more reps you put in and the more work you put in, the easier it will get for you.
So Jess, if we want to connect with you and find out more about you, about Paleo Scaleo, where can we go?
Sure. You can hop on my website at paleoscaleo.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Handles are all Paleo Scaleo. We have a new free PDF on the site, 10 things that make it easy to eat well. It's a great guide to how to get started with some healthy habits and the ways that I kind of got started on my journey. And you can grab that on the website.
Very good. Of course, a link to the Paleo Scaleo website and everything we're talking about today is also over on our website at saltmarketing.co. But right now, it is time for our lightning round questions. And these are a few quick questions that I like to ask of every guest. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First question is, what's the best book you've read recently?
I don't know if this is going to be a popular answer, but it is a book called Where All Light Tends to Go by a man named David Joy. It's heavy, but it was really, really well written. And I really enjoyed that.
All right. I'll have to check that one out. Next question. What is your favorite thing about the work that you do?
Definitely helping people, having people come to me and say, you showed me this, you showed me the way to do this, or you showed me how this works, or, I didn't think this was possible, but then I found your site or I found this recipe and I love how you make this so simple.
That's great. That's a great way to get inspired too. Last question. Who or what inspires you?
I think anybody that's out there really just trying to make their own way. other entrepreneurs. I love seeing entrepreneurs and the things that they're doing and the creativity that they have out there. And the minute you think that everything's been thought of, somebody comes up with something different. You're like, man, that is genius.
Yeah.
I love watching entrepreneur brains work.
Me too. I love that. Jessica, thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of Worth Your Salt.
Thank you for having me.
I also want to thank our listeners and let you know that if you're ready for your Worth Your Salt debut, tell us about your expertise by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. And of course, be sure to subscribe to our podcast at saltmarketing.co/worthyyoursalt so you never miss an episode. Finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode of Worth Your Salt. We'll be back here with a new episode next Thursday. In the meantime, get out there and shake things up.